Hey, buddy, Steven here. Don't trust this man. Look at this, 2 weeks in a row. Okay, so I've been trying to think about how if I want to attempt to synthesize two separate mental perambulations I took this week, and I think I'm going to try. But my hope is where I want to land. You know what? Let's just go for it. So I was taking a walk here in the neighborhood, and I passed by this great thing, and it reminded me of a scene in the movie Onward by Pixar, where the two protagonists, Spider-Man and Star-Lord, I can't remember their characters' names, but Tom Holland and Chris Pratt, voiced by those folks, their characters pop up out of a manhole cover. And that reminded me of an Instagram post made by someone in my social sphere about Pixar movies, about how many Pixar movies have parents who I guess are dying or who've died. And the post was about how this particular person's kids are afraid of their parents dying because of the Pixar movies. And the person was like, hey, Pixar, maybe make a movie where the parents don't die. So I saw that post and I was like, oh, yeah, that's crazy. And I think I get it. When I was a kid, I had this debilitating fear of my mom dying for about like a year. At least I remember it might have been my whole childhood, but like for one particular school year, I was like freaked out that she was going to die while I was at school. I used to make myself sick so I could go home. Of course, she would then go back to work, so she wasn't even with me. So it was kind of a fool's errand. But anyway, I get it. And I think there have been times when my kids were younger when they didn't want me to die. I don't know how they feel about it now. So I think I get it. But then, on my walk, I was thinking, what about kids whose parents have died? Like, isn't it nice for them to have a story or an example of what life can be like without their parent? Because in the movie Onward, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, someone's dead. But the kind of one of the main sort of morals of the story is that this younger brother who had never known the parent had actually had a parental figure in his life the whole time in the person of his older brother, which I thought was a lovely story. So then I started thinking, is there one that matters more? Right? Does the child who has both parents, and let's just presume for a moment that all parents in this equation are worth having. I know there are really horrible and monstrous parents in this world, and if that is you or you had one of those, I'm sorry. But let's just pretend for this thought experiment that all parents are like doing their best. I was thinking which child, which fear, which pain is worse. The kid who has two parents and who might be afraid that one of them might die because of a movie they just saw, or the kid who only has one parent or no parents and who feels a bit of hope because of the movie they just saw. I don't actually know, except it brought to mind for me a simple truth, and that is this, that I think it's better in whatever way we can to attempt to find ways to prefer the other over ourselves. Not to be a doormat, not to ignore what we need, not to ask for what we, not to not ask for what we need. I know we need to take care of ourselves, but I just suppose, and then I wonder if my perspective is from a perspective of privilege because I'm still alive. Thanks. That I would rather watch movies that don't reflect my reality and deal with whatever that might have done to my kids when they were younger, for a child who doesn't have both parents to feel a little bit of hope at the end of a movie. I don't know. What do you think? I really don't know. Okay, so that thought bubble led, that's just the start, that's just part one, led 2 days later to a more general thinking on that proverb that says something like, is it raise up or train up your children in the way they should go, and they are old, they will not depart from it? Is that right? I need a Baptist out there to check me on that one. And I was thinking, church jokes. I was thinking about how much shame and guilt so many parents, and I think even kids, must feel because of that verse. And I was thinking about I wonder how many parents have been made to feel like bad parents because their kids didn't turn out a certain way. I wonder how many parents or moms or dads, particularly in evangelical churches here in America, have been made to feel like if they had just prayed harder, or maybe they're like right in the middle of it now, and they're being told by their pastor or their elders or people in their church, they just really believe for their kids and pray harder for their kids, that their kids will come back from whatever hedonistic satanic thing that they're into at the time. I thought, man, I'm just sorry. I don't think that's the point Because think about it logically. What is the way in which they should go? What is that? Which denomination is that? Is it Jesus? Is it just like being saved? Well, how does that work? Which kind of saved? Is that praying at an altar? Or is it a quiet belief when no one's around? Is it a general, gradual, spiritual, intellectual ascent to the person and work of Jesus? What does it mean? Is it... And which Jesus? Like which... The Jesus that died on the cross as a substitution for our sins, or the Jesus who died on the cross to show the power of love? Like, what is the way in which a child should... What does that mean? What are we doing when we say that? What we're really saying is, I think, oftentimes in that context, is if you raise your kids in the way that I tell you to, or that adheres to the particular teachings of this local body, then your kids are going to be okay. But what happens when they're not, when they do, and then they're still not? And what is okay? I'm not going to answer all those questions today. Here's what I'm going to say. If you're a parent and someone is telling you that, or even you feel like there's a distance between you and your child, it may not be anything you did. It might just be life, and it might be tough, and it might be a moment, and it might be that the moment is soon to be over. It might be that it's still years to go. But I just want you to know that maybe it's not actually all your fault. And if you're a kid and your parents are giving you grief and they're telling you how hard they're praying for you, maybe, I know this seems ridiculous, maybe just try to think about the fact that folks in their lives, people at their church, might be shaming and guilting them to do something that they don't really know how to do. And maybe all you want is just to be loved and accepted for who you are, in spite of the questions you're asking, or because of the questions you're asking, or the truth you're looking for, whatever it might be. It is possible, anyway, that your parents are trying to do their best. And they're as confused and scared as you are. We'll talk about this more in the weeks and months and years. We'll see. Maybe my life's a Pixar movie. Maybe I'm about to be dead. Well, that'd be weird. Oh my gosh, what if I'm like dead before next week? I'm about to keep an eye out for that now. Anyway, we'll talk about this again because it's kind of something I feel really strongly. But if you've sort of come close to like this Jesus thing, and the people with whom you've experienced him, or have talked about him, or with whom you've sort of attempted to follow him, if you found yourself feeling kind of weighted, and again kind of shamed or guilted, or made to kind of labor under this idea of work and pressure and earning, if you've just been kind of worn out by what we might call the church in America today, I just want to say I'm sorry. And so often, those of us who attempt to speak for Jesus, we just say we say a lot of dumb things. We put a lot of pressure on people that I don't think Jesus puts on us. There's this passage where he talks about his yoke being easy, and he's inviting all those who are weak, and tired and heavy laden. And it's funny, isn't it, that so many people come to the church and leave feeling heavy laden versus light and whole. That's you, I'm sorry. That's not the real Jesus. Okay. Do I have a way for you to contact me? I should figure that out. Here's what I'll do. I'll put an email address, or we'll get one on the old screen somehow. If you want to talk, I'd love to talk. Send me an email. Until we are together again, be well.